I'll try and check YouTube. Are we live on Facebook, Srinder?
Not that I can see at the moment, but that takes a bit of a lapse.
Yeah, it's usually a 20-second lapse. It's to make sure we can cut out the naughty people now. No, I don't know what that is. It's amazing.
Yep, we're live on YouTube.
Okay, I was checking that one. That was my job. But anyway. All right, so we're live on YouTube. You are happy, yeah?
Yep, happy.
Great. Let's see if I can fix that and muck that up. Right, my camera's on. Damn, I didn't even know that. Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 o'clock Thursday afternoon. Must be time for the property professionals. I've been told, so it's not my fault if I've mucked this up. We're live on YouTube. Hopefully we're live on Facebook. That's not even my fault if we're not. Just in case, I better record it. Right, recording's in progress. Got a really good show this afternoon. So look, we're quite recent to YouTube. Going to bring you some great content. Please like and share it so we can spread the message around, bring some great content. Got a really great guest this afternoon, but going to keep it a secret for a little while. And a really great guest next week. I can't even tell you about that one. Right, so yep, you're live. Like and subscribe. You know the drill. Now, our regular viewers will know our man with the money, Akhil Mir, is the mortgage broker. Can't be with us today. So guess what? I'm going to pretend to be Akhil. You're going to love this. I can't wait to do this one. Oh, hang on. Because then I can volunteer him for all the stuff that he doesn't want to do. Right, hang on. I've got to get the slides working now. Right, okay, so I've got the slide working. Let's share it. Right. So, our finance broker this afternoon, Akhil Mir, over to you. Hi, Dil. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be on the show, although this is Dil pretending to be Akhil, but let's just carry on with this for the moment. So, Akhil's part of mortgage. No, I'm Akhil, sorry. Yeah, we're part of Mortgage Broker. Our mortgage broker. We've got 7 brokers in the office. We're really good guys. We know our staff. We're based in Slough. Here's our details. And I'm going to give you a brief update of what's been happening this week. Breaking news, apparently Mr. Number 10, Rishi Sunak, is flying back from LA. So I don't know where I got that news. I can't reveal my sources. But anyway, let's get on with our oh, by the way, I'm not a financial broker. No, I'm sorry. By the way, Dil, I'm not a financial broker. I don't know what the financial guys do, but they give us money, right? Okay, to buy properties. So back to Akhil. Akhil? Yeah, okay, so got a little update for you. UK housing market update, December 2021. It's all go here. Bank of England opts for pre-Christmas rates are likely to stay as forecast. Inflation is surging at 5%. Crikey. And I think one of the old prime ministers said the pound in your pocket is worth the same, but I might be misquoting someone there. Okay, Bank of England has they're not going to raise the rates. I think basically
They have raised the rates today.
They've raised them. Bloody hell.
2.025.
Akhil, Dil, pretending to be Akhil, you're fired, mate. You're rubbish at this. So, right, so slight raise in interest rates. Not really that much, but from my economics lessons at school, it's what they call a signaling device. They're signaling, listen, those people spending too much on property, too much on building materials, buying projects that are unviable, get it under control, because otherwise we're going to put the rates up and then you lot are going to be sorry. Basically, that's what it means between the lines. Okay, now, mucking around aside, Dil, Akhil, this is really important. If you're in the property business, you need to understand EPC requirements. This is what I'd call a creeping time bomb. It's been told to us, and it's going to creep up bit by bit. And soon comes around 2025, and we're going to need EPCs. Otherwise, you can't let your properties. Now, the reason I try and get Akhil to bring this up every week is this isn't simply about changing your light bulbs and putting new jackets on your boilers. It's much more involved than that. Those might take you from an E to a D, but they won't get you to a C, which is the grades of EPC certificates. So if you're doing any major work, such as replacing windows, insulation, buying fridges, washing machines, all of these things, installing boilers, those purchases are quite lengthy in terms of their timescale. So, they usually last between windows 10 to 20 years, boilers 7 to 10 years, fridges, hopefully at least 5 years. So those sort of things, you need to pay attention to what they are in terms of their energy efficiency. You don't really want to install a new set of windows now and then have to redo them come 2025, because that's quite a major capital expenditure. So this is a reason I always ask Akhil to bring this to everyone's attention. It's quite important, and it's important for commercial as well. So that's the basic reason behind it. I know we have a giggle each week, but this is quite a serious matter. So keep this on your radar. Okay, bloody hell. Akhil's been a busy boy this week. He always pretends to be busy, right? I'm not going to read through all this because my glasses aren't working properly. But look, they deal with all sorts of stuff. They give up more money than almost Rishi Sunak does, I think. They deal with residential, commercial, development, life cover. What else do they deal with? Bloody hell, rates are expected 1.89. I'm going to stop swearing in a minute. And they've got freehold purchases of mixed-use units. So look, basically, if you don't have a hotline to Rishi and you need some money to buy some property, contact Akhil. He's your boy. Okay, so mortgage rates. We've got a little summary, I wonder which way this is going to go, because look, if you look at the base rates, 0.25% up from 0.15 to 0.25. Is that right, Surinder? Have I got those numbers right?
0.01.
Sorry?
0.01 to 0.25.
0.01
to 0.025 now.
Okay, well, those are just made up numbers. They don't affect. Look, if you look at numbers between those and these, they're not made up. Obviously, they're real. But look at the margin all these companies have been operating on. Lowest one is 2.88, 1.14, 2.49, 1.64, 0.89. So that's the lowest one you see there, yeah? So there's margin in there. Will they put the rates up? Will they put them down? Don't know, to tell you the truth. It might be a case of they'll absorb it, or you never know with these guys. They like to get their hands on your money. They'll say, no, we want some more money. Right, so okay. So look, the signal's there. The rates are going to rise, yeah? Think about fixed rate mortgages, fix them for 5 years. Talk to a proper qualified financial advisor, not me. I might be able to do the odd spreadsheet badly, but that's it. Okay, look, Akhil's the boy. Here's his contact details. Give him a call. He's skiving for this week. Might skive for next week if we give him leave. But we just thought all this stuff is, great. The guy you need the money, the day you need the money guy to talk about the rates guy, you got to be skives off. Anyway, look. Mucking around aside, he's the chap. He knows his stuff. There's his details. He's even got one of those flashy QR codes. So obviously he's with the tech. And I'm gonna ask. Hang on. I'm gonna ask Akhil the question I ask every week. Akhil, are you gonna go for the Bank of England job? Yes, still. I'm going for the Bank of England, and I'm gonna go for number 11 as well. And I'll promise to be in number 11. In 6 months' time, and I'll give everybody all the money they want. Father Christmas. Sorry. Enough of the mucking around. Thank you, Akhil, Dill, whatever, right? Let's stop mucking around. How do I stop slide sharing? Okay, I got so many buttons to press here. Right. Anyway, sorry. We thought we'd bring you a bit of entertainment. Just quick announcement. Next week will be our last show of the year. So catch it. We've got a really great guest. Can't tell you who it is. But I can't say we've got even better guests today because, not officially anyway, I might upset next week's guest. We've got a really great guest now. Someone who really knows this stuff. We're delighted to have her back on. She's been on before. Obviously, my jokes didn't put her on off enough. She's laughing at me. Look, we got a proper chartered surveyor, knows her stuff. Now, put down your colouring pencils. Get your writing pens out. I've got a stack of 50p's, which might enable her to slide chair if I could press the right buttons. Look, I'm not going to do a proper introduction, Kirsty, because, I'll get it wrong. But eminently qualified, knows her stuff. Listen very, very carefully. She's going to give you some really great information. Kirsty, look, thank you very much for putting up with my bad jokes, for coming back on. And I know what you're going to ask me, and I'm going to let me do my clairvoyant bit. You're going to ask me, can I slide share? And the answer is yes, because I've got a stack of 50p's here ready for you to go. So over to you, Kirsty.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dill. You do amuse me. I'm not nearly as amusing, so hopefully I'll keep you engaged. But so before I start sliding some shares, see, it's the end of the day. Sharing some slides is what
it must be infectious.
I know, I think it is. Well, it's nearly Christmas. It's that mad time of year, So yeah, I have got a few commercial property tips to share with you, just based on what the trends and the opportunities are right now that myself and my clients are experiencing in the market, kind of post-COVID, post-Brexit, and post-COVID lockdowns. Obviously, we're still dealing with COVID. But first thing I really want to ask you is, are there any burning questions that you've got that you'd like me to answer whilst you've got me here this evening in relation to investing in commercial property? So have a think about that, and I can pick them up in the chat as we go. And I don't normally do this in this group, but just because it's Christmas, I have got a little offer for you later on that might be useful for either you or your clients. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes telling you what that is as well.
Yeah.
Exciting. So right, here we go. Let's try and share. Can you see those?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Okay. So where are the commercial property opportunities now? Well, good question. So lots of people come to me and say, I can't find the deals, and it is definitely harder to find deals than it was, but they really are there. Who's doing that? Someone drawing. Anyway, so yes, my question is, what one thing do you most want to learn about commercial this evening? And I will try my best to answer it, because I don't know exactly what you want to know. So some of you know me quite well. Some of you might not have come across me before, so I'll just do a quick whip through of what my background is and why I have a few ideas about what's going on in commercial right now. So this is my career history. I started back in '99 at a small practice. I've been a landlord, I've been an occupier, I've been a consultant, so kind of every side of the coin. And 6 years ago, I decided that I'd just rather do it for myself and also spend my time investing. So I've been running my own consultancy and building my own property portfolio, commercial property, since 2016. And this is me now. So I have my consultancy where I help others to invest, and then I have two property companies. One is pure commercial investment, so we buy commercial and we asset manage it to add value, and the other is mixed use development, so we buy units that are commercial on the ground floor and usually convert the uppers to resi, but sometimes we convert the uppers to commercial, because you can do commercial mixed use, it doesn't have to have a residential element. And then, well, I'd like to say this is me. It obviously hasn't been for the last 2 years, but I'm really hopeful that in 2022 we might be able to get back to a bit more travel and a lot more socializing and networking. So yeah, and life definitely begins at the end of your comfort zone. I said that before COVID, never been more true. So anyway, less about me, more about commercial. So what is happening in the commercial market? Well, an awful lot, and not everything the press prints is true. Surprise, surprise. So most of my own commercial investments are actually high street retail, because retail is the biggest part of my experience, although I have worked on offices and industrial as well, and I do invest in office. So loads of retail space coming back. The outlook's worse than 2008. Has COVID killed the high street for good? Well, this is a perfect storm, basically. So if you know how and where and what to do, the high street is a great place to invest right now, massive opportunity. And I'll go through that in a bit more detail. Office space, office is a really interesting market. So some businesses are cutting office space, but a lot of businesses are taking more space. So that's kind of a tale of two halves, and location is really important. And then of course, industrial and logistics are absolutely flying because we've all gone online whilst we've not been able to go anywhere, and servicing all that business. It's not going to slow down anytime soon, I don't think. So that's kind of the wider news. And I just wanted to give a little bit of context. I don't know, is everybody else's screen gone green? Because I can't see my slide.
Yes, it's green.
Yeah, don't worry, the Incredible Hulk's
okay
coming
now,
on.
it's white now.
Right, here we go. So I just want to point out a few things in the economy that it's really important as context to understand in order to invest in commercial, which I'm sure some of you are aware of. So just demographics. So who are we serving? Because in commercial, your business occupiers are there to serve the needs of all the different generations. And what do the generations want at the moment? So who you're looking for as tenants is pegged back to what the generations want. So we've got baby boomers, we've got record numbers of people 70 plus in this country. They're tending to sell their assets, and they do have quite great needs. So a lot of their needs are convenience. They've got money to spend on leisure. Healthcare obviously is a big need. They want to enjoy themselves, so experiences. And then we get into funeral care and that side of getting older. So there's a lot of needs to serve for baby boomers. Generation X, so they value, well, that's me. They value work-life balance. They're independent. They like flexibility. So they like to go out a lot, which is where the eating out culture has really come from. Millennials, they want access, not ownership, and they work to live. So they want access 24/7 to as many services as possible. They want to go out for coffee. They want the gym. They want to hire everything. They want experiences. That's what they want. And then Generation Alpha, so your children, they're going to be the most educated generation ever. They communicate via social media. They live on social media. They live on tech. So that is where everything's going. Everything's going experiential to support the needs of kids. So technology, efficiencies, automation, and disruption, that's what technology is bringing to all sectors of commercial property. And then we've got legislation to think about as well. We spoke about EPCs earlier. It's just as relevant. It says the host has disabled participant screen sharing. It's just as relevant as to residential, the EPC.
Sorry, Kirsty, have another go. That's someone mucking.
Bill, I think somebody's interfering. Can you make Kirsty the co-host and everybody else into the wait?
You can see the notes on the screen, I think.
Okay. So right, in a minute, we got a challenge, so I'm gonna make you co-host. Okay, so you should be co-host. You can go to the thing. And how do I get
Okay, let me just open my slides again.
She can share her screen now.
Yeah, let me just do that again. Right, there we go. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. So yeah, EPCs, green agenda, and loads of changes to planning are bringing both threats and opportunities in commercial at the moment. And then we've got all the uncertainty from Brexit, from COVID, from international tensions. We've got high inflation, we've got distressed businesses, we've got portfolio landlords liquidating assets or diversifying, say, out of retail and into industrial, challenges for international investors, supply issues, resource shortages, flexible and remote working like we've never had before, and lots of businesses changing their business models. But change always brings opportunity. And I think that's my biggest message at the moment is you've really got to follow the changes in your investment patch, understand the industries that are thriving, the industries that are struggling to work out where your best opportunities are to invest. So yes, the market is alive. The commercial market is very much alive. So business rates holiday and revaluation, that's going to have an impact on the viability of high street retail and hospitality. So the business rates landscape is changing. There's a lot of grant funding around to support high streets and hospitality. My screen's gone yellow again.
I think, Dale, what we have to do now is we put everybody else except Kirsty into the waiting room.
Okay, on it.
I'll carry on.
Okay.
Sure, it's Ian. I saw him typing. I think it was Ian.
Convenience and service-led businesses are the businesses that are winning. Repurposing high streets. So mixed use is the answer to repurposing high streets. Mix of leisure, offices, retail, and resi. Localism. So it's all about local locations. People have started to shop local. There's more local office hubs popping up. That's all starting to change. So you might find some new viable investment areas and kind of local convenience and service-led commercial property hubs. Planning changes to the use class order and permitted development. And there's a logistics and storage boom. So if you can get into that market, it's a good, strong market, but not particularly high yielding at the moment. What's happening with valuations? Well, they're cautious, very cautious for retail and office. There's a lot of discounting going on, a lot of down valuing, not so in industrial. So it's different across the sectors. Commercial lending is very, very difficult to obtain at good rates and realistic loan to values at the moment. The lenders, the high street banks are hardly lending at all on commercial. It's a smaller pool of lenders, the specialist lenders, lower loan to values. Really with retail and office, you're looking at 60%, maybe 65% loan to value, higher interest rates, which are higher than resi usually, but we're over 6% at the moment, mostly in commercial lending unless you're a portfolio landlord with an existing relationship, and a really long approval process, which is just how it is, but it doesn't give you much certainty. Tenants, there are definitely winners and losers. We've got industries in growth, industries in decline, and what we need to do is serve the needs of those industries. And there's a lot of government support for a lot of businesses. Changes to the use class order in commercial have given us loads of flexibility to flex between office, retail, healthcare, and restaurants, for example. So there's lots of different uses you can use the same property for, which didn't used to be true without needing change of use. That gives you clarity. And then there's permitted development, which gives us speed and certainty a lot of the time. A lot of offices, interestingly, have been converted to residential, so much so that there's now a shortage of office space in a lot of locations. So is that true of your investment patch? There's new rights for creating flats above retail, 2 flats above, without planning permission or an additional story. And then we've got Class MA, which is a bit controversial because it's come in saying you can convert retail to residential fully, the whole building. And then immediately half the boroughs in London have started to instigate Article 4, and that will only ripple out because a lot of councils need to retain better control than that over their town centres and their key suburban parades. And interestingly, permitted development doesn't apply to mixed use buildings. So if you've got a building that's retail ground floor, office first floor, permitted development will not apply and you will require planning permission. A lot of people don't understand that. So we've got 3 main market sectors that I'm now going to delve into what the trends and opportunities are before we kind of get to question and answer. So what are the trends? The most important thing to understand at the moment is that the sectors are working completely independently of each other in commercial. They perform differently at different times. So we've got offices, which it's really important to have the right facilities and the right services. Otherwise, your tenants just won't occupy your building anymore. It's all about wellness. It's about use of space. Co-working and serviced offices is a trend. Remote and flexible working or hybrid working is the business response to COVID. So how do we harness that as landlords? How do we serve those needs? What does it mean for leases? Permitted development and lack of supply, as I just said. So rents are rising in some locations for offices because there's now a lack of supply from unfit for purpose offices being converted to residential, but then a lack of new build offices. So new build offices could be in the opportunities. And then the other trend that's happening is that offices have largely been located either on huge business parks or in town centres or regional hubs. But now we're seeing a move towards localism in the office market as lots of businesses move to hybrid models. They're looking for smaller regional hubs, which means that offices are likely to pop up, or demand is coming through in locations that haven't been in demand previously. So the overall trend in the office sector is huge change. And that's what we need to understand for your investment patch. What's changing in offices and how do you serve the needs and the demands of businesses in your investment patch? Industrial trends. So this is the impact of consumer habits, online shopping and convenience, the logistics and warehousing, development and demand has gone through the roof. There's limited industrial land in most towns and cities, which means there's a really low supply and huge increases in rents. Institutional investors have converted about 30% of pension funds that were previously allocated to retail over to industrial because they need security, and that's where they're finding it at the moment, in industrial. So industrial is a very secure investment because of the strength of the market, but it can be quite low yielding. Another trend is automation and technology, so data centers, for example, or cold storage. So you could get really specialists in industrial and serve very specific industry needs in order to profit from your investments. And then trends in retail. So very, very location dependent. Local and convenient is what we want to be thinking when we're looking at retail. The business rates holiday and revaluation this year, which will be implemented in 2023, is stabilizing the market to a point for now, but we need to keep an eye on that. Lots of grant funding around for repurposing high streets, working with local councils, and support for businesses and occupiers taking previously vacant units. As I said, convenience and service-led businesses, Amazon-proof businesses, that's the trend. Brands versus independents. The brands used to be the strongest tenants, but now valuers are starting to prefer the independents after a lot of the brands stopped paying their rent during lockdown. Trends is repurposing the high street. So we're seeing lots of new users. So we've got things like dark kitchens serving our Deliveroo habits. We've got last mile logistics, all working alongside lots of new brands, experiential leisure, all these crazy golf centres that are popping up in town and city centres, and a lot of mixed use going on. Planning changes, as I said before, I won't go through them again. So if those are the trends, then what are the opportunities? And how can you make money? Well, I always ask people to go back to their end goal. So what's your end goal? Cash flow, asset building, return on capital invested. What's most important to you? Because that will dictate which strategy is right for you. Know and choose your market and your sector. So niche, effectively. And understand what's your funding strategy as well, because commercial lending is difficult. So what's your funding strategy for investing in commercial? And make sure you've got that alongside your property strategy. And build relationships and your commercial property network as you are doing tonight. So how can you make money, and why is now a good time to invest in commercial? Because all of this is happening. So the anti-money laundering regulations are starting to deter investors from Russia in the Middle East. Political tensions are starting to deter and might exit quite a lot of Chinese investors, which would leave a lot of opportunity that they are currently taking. And so the exit of that weight of money in the upper end of the market is likely to cause downward movement. So prices will go down. That will create an opportunity. Now, there's different speeds of recovery post-COVID in the sectors. So industrials like to recover first, followed by office, followed by retail. As I said, it's really hard to get the sort of yields that we like as property investors in industrial at the moment. So office and retail would be where I would advise you to focus for the best opportunities going into 2022. Because where there are problems and change, there are also opportunities. So what are the opportunities in office? As I said, huge change, it's evolving. So watch and be ready in your local office market. Be talking to your local commercial surveyors who understand what the local businesses want and keep on top of what the trends are. Now you need to really niche in offices into a particular sector. So co-working and serviced offices, they're very high cash flow, but it's quite difficult to uphold your capital value. So if you want something to buy for high income to hold for the long term, co-working and serviced offices could work for you. Owner occupiers, so doing flips, so create the space that occupiers want. So there are a lot of occupiers who want to own their own premises for security, for their long-term security of their business. So if you can build what they want or refurbish buildings to what they want, create the space they want, and you'll have a ready-made buyer on the other end. Changes in demand and location because of flexible and hybrid working. So start understanding what's happening in your investment patch, so that used to all be in town or all in the city centre. Talk to the surveyors, talk to the agents, work out what's starting to change and how you can serve that change in demand. The use class E, flexibility and change of use. So offices are no longer just on business parks and in huge buildings that are just office buildings. Can't think of the word I was trying to use then. They're now on the high street. So there are a lot of professionals who like using high street units as offices on the ground floor because they're accessible, they're visible, there's lots of amenities around for staff, they're easy for customers to get to. So there's quite a big trend, as I'm sure you're starting to notice, of insurance brokers, accountants, solicitors and other professionals, training centres, taking space that used to be shops as offices because they don't need change of use planning to do so. And then mixed use, offices works really, really well with ground floor retail. So instead of converting first and second floors to residential, if the space is fit for purpose for what today's occupiers want, consider having office above retail rather than conversion. So these are some of the offices in my own portfolio. The one on the top left was on a business park. I actually sold this at auction earlier this year after having tenanted it and significantly increased the value. But what's good about this is what you're looking for is units that have flexibility. So this can be let as a whole, or it can be split as two offices, or it could be split floor by floor and you could have 4 tenants in there. So there's a lot of flexibility. It's got parking. It's really well located, good accessibility. Then you've got offices above shops. So all of these are offices above shops. These were vacant above the hairdressers and the opticians. We didn't convert it to resi because the capital value wasn't there. It didn't work. So we actually let those. And just by letting those offices and renewing the leases on the ground floor, we doubled the value of that property. On the bottom left, I did actually convert these offices to residential because they weren't fit for purpose anymore. So as you can see, it really is dependent on location, demand, and the constraints of the building as to what your opportunities are in offices. So industrial, high demand from occupiers, big and small, rising rents. Basically build it and they will come in industrial. So if you can find some land to build logistics and warehouses, or particularly starter units and workshops, so spaces that are 800 to 1500 square feet, or starter units and workshops on parks that you can refurbish, that's the place to be. That's where your opportunity is in industrial. Also asset management, so changing tenants, right-sizing space, restructuring leases and enhancing the specification of buildings. So if you can find some small industrial parks, or well, they don't have to be small, dependent on what you have to invest, but look for asset management opportunities. Mixed use industrial with offices. A lot of people don't think about this, but this is a massive trend and a massive opportunity. So more and more businesses have started to understand that it's much cheaper for them to rent or own an industrial unit and create offices within it. So a lot of businesses need storage or workshop space and office space. And an increasing number of businesses are using warehouses for office space. The rents are cheaper, they're better parking. We actually do that ourselves. So I'm sat actually in an industrial unit, but we've created serviced offices within it because we only needed half of it for warehouse and storage. And that's a massive opportunity that people aren't always aware of. But work with a specialist industrial agent to get to know the requirements in your investment patch and gain the competitive advantage if you want to focus in on industrial. So here's an example of starter units, new build starter units on the top left there. They will let all day long. So literally the minute they come on the market, it doesn't seem to matter where they are, they will let, and you will have very sustainable rents, very sustainable tenants, high demand. This is an example of repurposing a site. So on the bottom right, this is a former car lot. It's actually in a village location in Cambridgeshire. They went for change of use to residential. It was declined, and they can't appeal because it's down as employment land, and the council has said that they'll veto any application for residential. So this investor then thought, well, what about creating starter units? And that's exactly what they're doing. It's a much lower development cost, and that's making use of that space that used to be a car lot. So that's the sort of opportunity that you could look out for in industrial as well. And last but not least, retail. So this is all about revitalising town centres, repurposing vacant space and looking for properties that have short leases so that you can add some value by asset managing. So repurpose properties, what are the needs in that town? Are the needs for offices? Are the needs for leisure? Are the needs for residential? Where are the needs, and serve them? Use the permitted development rights and the changes to the use class order. Understand the business rates holiday and make sure you do your due diligence on how that might impact the lettability of properties. Mixed use shops and uppers are a massive opportunity. And as I said, not just mixed use ground floor commercial, first floor residential, but also mixed use ground floor commercial and first and second floor commercial, which could be gyms, restaurants, beauty services, offices, multiple uses. Also, larger HMOs and serviced accommodation count as commercial uses, which work well above ground floor commercial. And the other major opportunity is going local for retail. So we're thinking suburban parades, convenience hubs and small market towns. Those are your best opportunities at the moment for high street retail. Convenience and service led, independence rather than brands, asset management, letting vacant space, renewing leases, changing use, and also going for multi-let retail properties for the highest cash flow, but also to be able to finance them. So the lenders like multi-let retail as opposed to single-let retail. And these are just some examples. Some of them were in the office section because they're office and they're retail. The one and the bottom middle is quite interesting. So this is ground floor 4 retail units, all on good, strong leases, apart from the one which is vacant. So that's an add value opportunity. First floor offices that are let to a long-term tenant. And then the second floor is vacant and has prior approval to be converted to flats under permitted development. So that's a great example of multi-purpose mixed use. And that is what's working on the high streets. And those are the investments that I'm going for in building my own portfolio. So take your opportunity in summary. Be clear on your strategy. Know that you can use asset management, which is what I call paper exercises, adding value through leases and tenants rather than always having to do development. Commercial flips are working really well because the lenders are making it difficult to refinance, and there's a weight of money in the market for investors looking for ready-made, fully tenanted, high cash flowing investments. So think about flipping commercial, which is our main strategy for the next 12 months. You can buy yourself an income. So if you want to make your capital work, buy well, use your agent relationships. There's lots of properties coming back to market at the moment when people realize they can't go the traditional funding route. So if you're cash rich, you can pick up some of those deals at a really good price and should be in double digit in terms of buying yourself an income. And title splitting, that's another good way to build a commercial portfolio, title split the resi and sell that off to recycle your capital. And then you're a lot more hands off. You're not going to do all the residential management. Know your market, understand the industries and businesses thriving in your area, choose your niche. So just focus on one sector, be really specific, and build great relationships to facilitate your asset management. So I hope that's useful. Now, if you permit me, I hope that bit of time there has been well spent, but I can't cover everything when I spend, an hour or so with you. And recently, I relaunched a masterclass that I put together for those people who want to diversify from residential investing into commercial investing. And that's just what I'm going to tell you about and leave you with an offer on tonight. So this is my masterclass. It's 16 hours, 8 modules. These are all the modules. So it goes through everything from how to find it, how to value it, how to finance it, and everything in between. It's online, so you get lifetime access once you've enrolled. Who do I say it's for? It's for residential investors who want to diversify. If you're already a commercial investor, it's helping you maximize the value and grow your portfolio. Or if you've got a pension to invest, or capital and investor funds to invest, and you're just looking for something different, because residential is too competitive, maybe. Now, I have a little bonus, which I offered when I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and I've still got 2 places on this lunch. And I thought this group would be a great place to offer this bonus to. So I'm put together a commercial property experts lunch. It'll be 10 investors and 5 commercial property professionals having lunch for a few hours, debating the market, giving advice, swapping contacts. I'm going to do that at the end of January. And that's included for the first 2 people who take the opportunity I'm giving you today. It's the first one I've ever done. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do more. Included with my masterclass, I've got a vault, which has got lots of tools and downloads and documents to help you get on your way with investing in commercial, or maybe just not reinvent the wheel. Things like an offer pack, deal analyzers. And yeah, so that's my offer really. Usually my masterclass is 2,495. I've discounted it by 20%. There's a QR code there if you're interested, or you can go to the website and invest, but you will need that discount code if you or any of your clients or contacts could benefit from understanding the fundamentals of commercial, so that they can go and find those high cash flowing deals that we've been talking about. It will take you to this page. You put your coupon in and then it will discount for you. So that's me. I'm going to leave that there and now see if you've got any questions for me.
Yeah, Kirsty, thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I'll start in reverse order. There's so much information there. I'm almost shell-shocked.
Well, you know me, I like to add value. I'm going to put my contact details in the chat as well in case people want to follow up. So I've just popped it all in there as well.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. So you talked about multi-retail being more financeable. Is that right? The financiers like multi. Yeah. So is that basically where you've got shops that have got shop units that have got smaller shop units within them? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, or just multiple units. So, you know, my investments hardly ever just have one shop. They'll have 2 or 3 or maybe even a parade of shops on the ground floor. And the lenders like that because it diversifies risk. So if one tenant vacates, you've still got the other 4.
Okay, so you could put all 4 units with one lender. That's what you're
saying. Yeah. And that's what they like. They like multi-let, multi-unit properties, particularly with retail.
Great. And we're just going to check if we've got another question. Can you invest using SIP or SAS pension funds?
Yeah, so SIP and SAS pension funds, I often say that people try to invest in property the hard way with SIPP and SAS, because everyone's trying to loan back money to do residential projects or put some really complicated structures in place, when in actual fact, you can just invest directly in commercial property and do asset management, not development. I think a lot of people don't understand that opportunity is really there to invest their pension directly into commercial. So I'm trying to help a lot of people do that. So if I can help anyone with that, we've got contacts who want to understand what their opportunities are to invest their pension. I invest my pension jointly with some other SIPP pension holders because I only had a small balance. So that's something you can do as well.
Okay, great. And you also showed an example where I think you had retail ground floor, offices on the second, and commission flat on the top one. So I sort of get the retail bit, I get the office bit. So the question I have for you is, people will be thinking, do people want to live above second floor, on a second floor with offices below them in a high street? Is that something people are okay to let on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the demand for residential is phenomenal as long as you're in the right location. So usually the towns that we're in are very close to a hospital or a big employer or a big educational institution. And that's where you really seem to get your demand from. Now, that building that I showed you, it has a car park at the back and a completely separate entrance for the residential and the offices. So you're not going through the front of the retail or anything like that. The views from up there are quite good. It's quiet because it's second floor. So you're quite far above the high street. It's a pedestrianised high street, so it's not noisy. Yeah, I mean, the demand is good. Everything that we create on the high streets gets let.
Yeah, I see this a lot in the projects we do for our people in East London. I know that's a big area, but there's a lot of that goes on East London where people love living behind shops or above shops. I can't get my head around it. But
yeah, well, it's normally the younger demographic, so you usually get people. It's people in their 20s usually who love the convenience of the location, and a lot of them don't drive, so they want to be in town centres. They either don't drive or they haven't got a car, so parking is not important to them.
Yeah, they don't drive or they can't be bothered with it. And I don't actually blame them sometimes.
Well, they can't afford it. Yeah.
Get electric bike. I think that's the way everything's going. Right. We had a great guest on last week. Nearly as good as, well, no comment on about this. I'm going to get myself into trouble here. She's a lawyer talking about how commercial eviction is looking to be postponed until March 2022.
Yeah.
Is that going to interact? And you talked about something like about downward pressure and opportunities available. Is that something that's interacting with those two elements together? So that basically what we're saying is a lot of people initially thought there's going to be a lot of commercial deals coming out because of the lockdown and businesses
failing.
Failing. Don't want to put it horribly, but businesses churning, shall we say? And that hasn't sort of materialized. Is that one of the reasons this has been delayed, shall we say?
No, I think the main reason is there's just such a weight of money in the market that every opportunity that comes up is snapped up. There's just so much money in the market. It doesn't really matter what's actually happening in the market. People who understand commercial are picking up every opportunity. I think what is happening is that there is a shift from trying to invest in properties that are tenanted by brands to investing in properties that are more focused on the independent businesses, because they're actually now seen as more secure because they do continue paying their rent. They got better support from the government. They're usually family run or run by individuals. And actually the valuers are starting to prefer the independents over the brands because the brands played hardball using the moratorium on evictions to stop paying their rent. And that's made lenders and valuers very nervous of brands. So it's changing what your strategy might be compared to what it would have been 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I would have advised you all day long to invest in brands in boxes. Go for the brands, Costa, Boots, I don't know, NHS, in offices, that kind of thing. But now my advice is totally the opposite.
That's a complete 180, isn't it? It's like it's a complete on the other side of that coin.
Intuitive, yeah, but it is what's working. And I had a property valued 2 weeks ago, and I met the valuer and went round with him at 3 shops on the ground floor, 3 flats on the first and second. And he said, "Oh yeah, I like these all day long. These work really well. These tenants are really sustainable." He's like, "I've gone off the brands. I'm down valuing all the brands." And that was straight out of a valuer's mouth, you know.
Wow.
Quite interesting.
That's some really interesting information. That's amazing. I wouldn't have thought about that. And you talked about Article 4, that councils don't like this new planning regime, do they?
Yeah, they don't like Class MA, a lot of councils. So I think we've got about a 12-month window to make the most of Class MA in a lot of locations. And then they're going to bring Article 4 in to start controlling it. Because if you think about it, a lot of retail property is very central. So it's in the town centre, or it's on a very arterial road. And the councils want to keep control of that. They're concerned about the quality of conversions as well, converting retail into residential. So it's mainly London boroughs at the moment who are instigating Article 4, but usually what happens in London then peters out to the rest of the country. So and also it comes with a lot of conditions. So yeah, and I think a lot of people have jumped on the Class MA bandwagon. So you're in a really competitive market as well. So I always think there's less opportunity in a very competitive space. So I tend to watch what the masses do and then go the other way.
So for all of you, Class MA is where you can put a flat at the back and above. Is that right, or have I got that wrong?
No, Class MA is being able to convert retail in ground floor retail into residential. So you can convert a whole building from retail into residential. That's okay. What Class MA says. Then you've got Class M, which is the ability to convert up to 2 flats above a shop without needing planning permission. And you've got Class G, which is the ability to add an extra story onto a building that's retail on the ground floor.
And you might not know the answer. Can you stack all 3, or is that a more detailed question for a planning consultant?
You can stack M and G. You wouldn't. Yeah, you can stack M and G. You can stack MA and G. So yeah, you can. But you do need to work with planning consultants, because I can't tell you how confused most of the planners in the councils are. They're sat there scratching their heads, just going, "We can't really decide what we can say yes to, because it's all just so confusing that I don't know."
Yeah.
So.
Totally agree. And for all our viewers on YouTube, there's probably a video with one of our planning consultant regulars on it. So have a look at our channel. And, you know, and if you're not on YouTube, go to our YouTube and watch that. That's great. Now, you talked something that was quite interesting in your presentation, where you talked about the upstairs. What was the phrase you used? Capital. The capital value didn't value up, so you left it as offices or refurbed it.
Yeah, so there's lots of locations in the Midlands and North in particular where residential capital values are not very high. So that particular one that I was talking about, you know, the capital value of a 1-bed flat, now take a deep breath if you're based in the southeast, the capital value of a 1-bed flat is 70,000.
I'm going to have a lie down now.
Exactly. So, you know, £70,000. Now, by the time you've converted it at a cost of about 40 grand, 40,000, it just doesn't work. It's not worth it. Whereas what I actually did is spend £3,000 doing a light refurb on the office, and then I let it for £4,500 a year, which added a third more income to the asset. And then along with doing that and extending the retail leases, we doubled the value of the property. And that's all we needed to do.
Really interesting you say that, because I guess anybody from the southeast looking at a property saying, yeah, we can convert it into a flat. It's the go-to sort of thinking, and we'll get our money out. But they forget that capital values or valuations for residential property are quite low. And this is Midlands you're talking about. This isn't very far away
This
from
isn't in the
London.
north. This is in the Midlands. This is in Staffordshire.
Yeah.
And you know that they're just, the market just isn't there for the capital values. Plus, it's a great example of what you might want to invest in with your pension, for example. So what I was saying about not trying to do difficult things with your pension money, that's a cracking example of you can put your money straight in and you can leave it in because it stays commercial, but you've still managed to double your pension money.
Yeah. And
That asset, you know.
and potentially there's more demand from, I think you were talking about how the office pendulum swung as well, where people want local offices because what they need to do is get away from their home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not travel too far, you know.
Yeah, well, I actually let that office in lockdown. So I let it in February this year when we were in lockdown to a financial services company. And the director just said, I'm going to go there myself and set it up. And then as soon as we come out of lockdown, the whole team want to be in an office. They are sick to death of working from home. And I was just like, okay. So yeah, you know, I was letting offices and shops in lockdown.
I didn't say that they're bad news about working from home. Kirsty said it, so don't blame me for don't blame me. Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question? You were saying that you go for like multi-retail units. Would that be different types of operators? I mean, like you might have a clothes shop in one and news agents in another, or something. That's really what you mean, is it? So
yeah, so you want to try and mix your uses, but you want them all to be convenience and service led.
right.
So, you know, so my mix of uses in my most recent completed development was I've got a music shop who sells and repairs guitars.
Right.
I've got a health food shop. I've got a vape shop, and I've got a hairdresser.
Yeah.
So you know, all those different types. Think people that are providing services
Right.
for convenience for people.
Right. Okay. And that appeals to lenders, does it? To have.
Yeah, absolutely. So as long as you've got them on, you know, preferably 5-year leases, but at least 3-year leases, and you've got a rent deposit if they're a young business, so you've got a little security there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if it was a single retail unit, it wouldn't appeal so much to lenders. But if you've got 3, 4, 5 units in one property, the lenders like that because it's de-risked, because you're not, you know,
not going to lose them all at once. No.
Yeah.
No, I see. Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. Great question. You know, my version of that is a kebab shop off license and a chicken shop next to each other. So you could do. Sorry, I'm being a bit flippant there, obviously. But
well, no. But, joking aside, Dill, I've got 2 takeaways next door to each other in one property. It's also got 3 shops, and a kebab and pizza next door to Chinese. I mean, they've been great tenants to have during COVID. The kebab shop, we've given them a new 20-year lease straight, no breaks, and uplifted their rent by 25%.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, when restaurants are, I was watching a YouTube, but it's like a podcast. They say it's funny. People don't get it. Where you got one restaurant, you think okay, and the next one opens up, you think what's going on here? But suddenly you get. And I went to a high street in London. I can't remember the area now. It was just last year. One of my 3 surveys I did the whole last year, apart from working from home. But apparently the whole area is full of mostly fast food in the Indian sector, but it's really famous for it. It's like, it's so famous. There's like a massive high street full of all these really fast food shops. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. And I asked one of the guys I was doing the survey for, and I said, what's this area famous for? He said, fast food. Look at it down there, the food. So, and you get this in East London as well, where there's loads of sort of, I think East Brick Lane, those full of curry shops. So, you know, it's a great event. No, brilliant. Look, That's some great information there. I hope everyone's enjoyed this. We did have a little few interruptions, but we'll ignore those for a moment. But thank you very much, Kirsten. That's really great. Thank you for sharing your details on that great offer for our community. You've had some great questions. So look, is there something on the horizon that's going to cause some change in this commercial market looking forward to 2022?
Just what's already happening. So what COVID did is accelerate the changes that was already there.
Yeah.
So the office market's changing massively. 2022 will be the year when we find out exactly how it changes, I think. But no real new news. So what I went through there, I believe, is what's going to continue to happen in 2022. I can't see a major shock.
Okay, well, will you come back and give us another update? See if you're right.
Absolutely, yeah.
We look forward to getting you back on the show, giving us another update. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Really enlightening. And so for all our viewers, hopefully you enjoyed that. Really good information, really good share. I'm going to try and do a slide share. Am I going to do it? Let's have a go. So, oh yes, here we go. Let's see if I can get this one to work. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get this one to work. From current slide. All right. Have another go. So look, hopefully you enjoyed this week's program. I definitely enjoyed learning. It's one of the reasons I do these programs. They're a fantastic opportunity to learn from some great experts. Actually, that's the one. Yeah, so we're on every Thursday. Got a great show next week. I'm going to call it a surprise, but let's see if Surinder's on. Surinder, can we share the details of next week's guest, or is that going to be a surprise?
No, next week is David Hanna. He's going to be talking about the proposed changes to business and mixed use stamp duty.
Fantastic. So he's going to complete the trilogy. Last week we had the expert on how to get rid of commercial tenants who don't pay and options there. This week we've had Kirsty telling us about the opportunities in the commercial market. Next week we're going to get the chap saying, when you're buying these things, what are the changes in stamp duty? So look out for that. Join us next week. We'll bring you some great content. Please like and subscribe so all your friends can look at this content as well. And we look forward to seeing you next week again, Thursday, 5 p.m. Yeah, Thursday, 5 p.m. I had to write it down because it gets difficult for me sometimes. But really look forward to seeing everybody next week, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, everyone. Yep.
Right. Have I stopped it?